Well, good morning, one and all. It's a short talk on a rainy, drizzly day here in Cruces with an old guy. And so when you're doing plumbing work, actually, when I used to do construction plumbing, mostly residential, that's really what I did most of my life. Just gonna put that cigarette out. Just get a little gnarly here. And headed into work today, but in the old days, when I was doing houses and houses after, one after another, if you're doing what's called top out phase or rough in, which is when you're out in the air, uh, we usually wouldn't work because you can't glue in this weather. Well, you can, but it's just not going to hold. But the thing is that been doing a lot of different stuff with Kevin ever since I started in last September. So there might be some work out there today. I took half a day off yesterday. We went in. I wanted to give you a little bit of an update, if you care, about the little crazy place. I had this episode on Saturday night. I woke up in the middle of the night and I went bling, like those little cartoons where there's a light bulb over your head. And I said, I can't believe I missed that. So we were in there Friday, and somehow, as I posted in a video later, that somehow the low pressure had migrated from the left side of the product faucet to the right side of the product. Wait a minute. How did that happen? How did the low volume move from one leg underground to the other leg underground? That's what I was looking at. And I thought, huh. So anyway, we had water there, and I thought, we'll have to deal with that on Monday, I guess. And so anyway, it was Saturday night. I woke up and went, oh, sheesh. So while we were trying to get the kitchen reconnected, because I'd blown up underneath the bottom of it, looking around down there, trying to find somewhere I could tag into a copper and redo it, and no sign of the copper. But at any rate, never mind. The flexes were too short because I'd had my guy put on new straight stops, and so they were just a little short. So I said, well, we got one new 20. We can reach one of them with the 120. Just take that old long one. They had a 30 on the other side. Just put the long one on the cold side. So we put the long one on, and sure enough, we juiced it, and there was the low pressure. Well, hey, Mike, you moved the flex, right? So the flex used to connect on the hot side. Now it's connected on the cold side. The pressure drop moved over there. Figure it out. It's probably the flex. So I just thought, I don't know how I missed that. So I told Kev, and I said, well, let's just go ahead and do it. It'll take me 5 minutes, and I'm sure it'll be right. And it was. But the while we were there, they had an old iron system. When we're cutting holes in the wall to try to find this mysterious area that I was going to work in. Uh, we came across the old iron riser on the clothes washer, and it was like, well, that's ridiculous. It was an old inch and a half cast iron trap with an inch and a half riser on it, steel, and I thought, well, that thing's way undersized. Even when it was put in, it was probably a bad idea. But with modern clothes washers, they on their discharge cycle when they go to dump their load, they dump it really quick, and you want a nice full throttle 2 inch all the way through, or you're going to have problems. It's going to end up all over the floor. And so anyway, I told the boss, I said, hey, that's just going to bite us in the rear end later on if we don't take care of it. So we did, and we got that thing put in there. So it was lunchtime, and there was really nothing much more for me to do on their schedule. And I said, well, and I can't believe how lazy I was Saturday and also yesterday. I came home from work, and you know what I did after I got home? Nothing. I knew that I should probably dump the trash over there. I mean, a chap might notice things like this and stuff like that. And I could have done a couple of little items. And it was like I just sat here, and then I went and laid down. And then I got up and sat here for a little while, and then had a bite to eat and laid down for like since almost noon. And so I woke up around midnight, and I thought last night, and I thought I've been in bed like 12 hours. I mean, basically. And I thought, what is going on? And it suddenly occurred to me this morning as I woke up that maybe, possibly, this darn sinus infection that I've had, I don't know, for months now, maybe some of that's starting to loosen up. What if I'd been sick during that time and just never really noticed. And when I get sick, I mean, lots of times I guess I just don't notice. All that I really notice is that I don't have any energy. I'm tired all the time, and that kind of thing. And so I thought, well, that's really the way I felt when I got home yesterday. And that I'm not going to do anything. But I'm looking at the news a little bit today. You know what's out there on the scandal sheet and all that stuff. And you know that treacherous Roberts in the U.S. Supremes, he voted with the weirdos so that the Texas folks down fighting this crazy invasion, they no longer have the right to set up barbed wire, or rather, the feds have the right to come back in and cut it right back out, so that the illegal, I said illegal, people can march right on through, you see. And this is so very constitutional, don't you know, that that has to happen, that wide open doorway has to be there according to the Constitution. Where was that part? I guess I forgot. And so the traders in DC are still doing their stuff. I sure enjoyed looking at a couple of videos. There was a guy from Hillsdale, I believe, who did a pretty good in your face at that Davos thing. And then there was, of course, that young guy that I told you about. He ended up with a black eye on the one I saw, and I wondered if maybe he got that after his first try, because he began with saying, "I'd like to begin with an apology. I make my apology to nobody," and that's how he took off. And so I wonder if he got popped in the head the day before, because I guess he had said some the day before. So anyway, whoever this young guy is, I admire him. And this overthrow idea of let's take over the Western world with what works out to really bad kind of Marxist quasi-fascist ideals, but it's all rooted inside this idea of replacement. I mean, replacement for you and me. Uh, units, humans. That's what's on the way out. And they're trying to phase in this new thing that they're busy trying to slam together, which is, if it ever comes together, it's going to be a complete monstrosity anyhow. But the idea of a human fused with artificial intelligence, and I tell you right now, as a Christian, there'll also be demons involved. So it's always going to end up with three, at least on that leg. And so they're busy building this thing, and meanwhile, we're out here trying to fix plumbing and try to carry on our lives and get the groceries and pay the bills and be on time and stuff, and just looking at a world falling apart. And you know, and the thing is, yes, we should pray, and I do pray to the Father, but I don't pray for this world really. Uh, I pray for the children, His children that are in it, that He would guide and He would defend His children who are in this madhouse. And you know, I look at this stuff as a 65er, and I think, boy, this is so, I mean, obviously destructive in terms of its goals and its methods, and its just obscene levels of corruption, rife with bribery and extortion through the whole thing. I wouldn't be surprised if the reason that Roberts voted was he was threatened. I mean, that's the way that justice is done, right? You just threaten the judge, and if he doesn't go along with it, you kill him. That's what they used to do down in South America. And, you know, that was because the cartels were so powerful down there. Well, guess what? They moved north. And so our world it's just really getting weird. And so don't you lose hope, because the thing is, Christ has the victory. And no matter what happens to us in our lives, we have a new life, the new life, life eternal. And He has secured it Himself. So it's the sure thing. It's the sure thing against which all other sure things might be roughly measured. So He's the rock. He doesn't move. When He says something, it's true. So be full of trust, and say so. Trust the Father, and walk in His path, because His path is peace and integrity and truth and humility and all things that are excellent, found in Messiah Jesus. So you don't have to summon up a little humility. You don't have to go roust out a new dose of courage and figure out what you did with it last week. Why can't you find it? No, He brings these things alive in His children. And so I pray for the children of God, the children of the resurrection, the children of the new Adam. These people, and that number's growing, by the way. The kingdom hasn't been put on hold. He's still advancing the kingdom. He's still taking captives today. And they're awfully glad to be captured At least I am. And the thing is that he makes all the difference. He brings wholesomeness. He brings sobriety. He brings sanity back. What's not to love? And the price of the whole thing, truth, absolute truth. And if you can stand the truth, you can stand the reality of his. None of us are good in truth. None of us in truth deserve even a blink of an eye from the Father. But he has gone way overboard and granted us life and life eternal through the gift of the work of another, the word work and the completed job that Jesus did down here. That makes all the difference, and it's the only thing that's going to roll back this darkness, is to teach Christ, him crucified, him raised up again, him ascended off that hill, and him coming back in due time. And so don't lose heart and don't lose courage. But, on a dark, ugly, rainy day when you don't really know what you're going to end up doing, it's easy for me to get kind of dark and think, really all I want to do is drink hot chocolate, read books, and disappear for 10 hours. I used to do that when I was a little kid in the winter, if I could get away with it. Just hide somewhere in the house, and read a good book and just drink and just don't talk to anybody. And I used to love reading books. Haven't read a book in years. But anyway, you go out today and read someone around you and say, looks like they could use a little bit of encouragement. They could use a little bit of maybe patience. Maybe they could use a buck out of my pocket. Maybe. The thing is that go find someone today and do good things in Jesus' name, because that's the path of life. That's the path of sanity. And all this mumbo jumbo that Davos and all them guys and the communists and Chinese are rustling up, every bit of that is going to burn. It's all fuel for the fire. Judgment comes when the judge arrives, and all of these works will be burnt up. Amen. Have a good day and kick ass and take names.